Senator Hanson.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Agriculture and Water Resources, Senator Nash. Minister, foreign-owned company Wilmar Sugar holds a monopoly on the Burdekin region, North Queensland, to its ownership of the 4 mills, together with 100% ownership of rail lines to and from those mills. Therefore, the growers have no option but to have their crops processed by the Wilmar Group. Further, Wilmar have established its own marketing company as well as its wholly owned transport company. At present, approximately 85% of farmers are reluctant to sign Wilmar's cane supply agreement without the on-supply agreement between Wilmar and QSL. My question is, what action is the Minister taking to overcome this deadlock, which must be resolved by the 28th of February 2017, so that farmers can lock in their forward pricing contracts as well as being in a position to nominate their marketing company of choice, which is in favour of QSL rather than Wilmar?
The Minister for Regional Development, representing the Minister for Agriculture and Water Resources, Senator Nash.
Thank you, Mr President, and I thank the Senator for her question. I acknowledge her very genuine interest in this particular issue. Mr President, the government very strongly supports our Queensland sugar growers. Of course we do, and that's a given, and we're very focused on making sure that there are good outcomes for the growers in that state. I'm advised that in late 2015 Queensland passed legislation that should enable millers and cane growers to work more constructively together to determine contracts. And the government does believe that the sugar industry should work within the context of the Queensland legislation to prove it can work in helping growers exercise their choice of marketer. 6 out of the 7 sugar millers, senators might be interested to know, across Queensland have demonstrated that Queensland legislation can work by locking in contracts with their respective mills, except though, of course, as the senator indicates, for farmers growing for Wilmar and the Burdekin, Herbert and Central Queensland regions. We are really aware of growers' concerns in this area, the impact on them, on their financial arrangements, their monetary commitments, obviously, in terms of pre-planting and the certainty that they need for their businesses going forward. I'm also advised that negotiations for the on-supply agreement that the senator mentioned are still taking place between Wilmar and Queensland Sugar Limited. The agreement provides the marketing arrangements for the cane supply agreements, and finalising that will of course enable growers to have marketing choice in their individual CSAs, but as I indicated, those negotiations are still ongoing. And we certainly support competition in the sugar industry, but we absolutely support the viable and strong future for our cane growers in Queensland.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hanson, a supplementary question.
Should Wilmar continue to demonstrate its non-competitive behaviour in its negotiation of both the on-sale and the cane sale agreements, will the government prioritise legal action under the Fair Trade legislation? And should Wilmar not finalise these agreements in a business-like manner for not only its benefit but that of the growers and QSL by the deadline of 28th of February 2017, what action shall the government take to end this monopoly situation and the coercive actions of Wilmar forcing farmers into such unsatisfactory agreements and their economic...
Senator Nash, Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. And again, I do acknowledge the uncertainty that has been created by this situation. And do note, though, Mr President, that the ACCC is also investigating issues arising from negotiations between Wilmar and the sugarcane farmers to determine whether there has indeed been any contravention of the Competition and Consumer Act. The senator raised those particular competition issues, I believe, in her question, and the ACCC is indeed looking into those.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hanson, final supplementary question.
Will the government introduce legislation to reflect the recommendations of the Senate Inquiry Report dated 24/6/15 Code of Conduct for the Sugar Industry, recommending choice of marketer and arbitration process to determine the terms and conditions?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. I understand that the government, of course, would be considering those recommendations very closely, but I'm not going to preempt any decision of the government on that basis. I will say, though, Mr President, what I said at the outset. This government is absolutely committed to ensuring that we have a strong and viable future for our sugar growers in Queensland. We know that our agricultural producers make an enormous contribution to this nation's economy. Indeed, they drive this nation, they clothe the nation, they feed the nation, they water the nation, and we are well aware, as I said, of the uncertainty that's been created, and will continue to work with the industry and with the sector to ensure that that very viable future is in place for the growers.
Thank you, Senator Nash.